minutes. The meeting will now commence at 6:06 p.m. First order of business is roll call. Can we please commence roll call?
Student Trustee Hawk,
Present.
President Almendras,
Present.
Vice President Fernandez,
Present.
Chief of Staff Patino,
Here.
Speaker of the House Joe,
Present.
Graphic Designer Ramahi,
Present.
Chairperson Thumu. Okay, Chairperson Chidari,
Present.
Chairperson Murtaza. Okay, Chairperson Alvarez.
Present.
Yes. Chairperson Celestino.
Present.
Representative Youssef.
Here.
Representative Beltran.
Present.
Representative Ahmed. Representative Cruz. Representative Representative Guerrero.
Present.
Representative Heybali. Representative Sharma.
Present.
Representative Ansari. Representative Dua Ansari. Okay, Representative Giron.
Present.
Representative Erlbacher.
Present.
Representative Patel. Representative Gia Patel. Okay. Representative Bielovska.
Present.
Representative Vodila.
Present.
Representative Hannah. Representative Lauren Hanna. Representative Dasgupta. Representative Slaughter.
Present.
Representative Nguyen. Representative Saadi. Representative Mehta. Representative Khadir. Ruwaida Khadir. Representative Rodriguez. Representative Ali. Representative Jane.
Present.
Representative Blinn.
Present.
Representative Preobrashenskia.
Here.
Representative Omani. Representative Tayo Omani. Representative Dean.
Present.
Representative Baradwan.
Present. Thank you so much. The next order of business is reading and approval of the minutes. Please take this time to read over the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, then the minutes will stand as approved. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. Please take this time to read over the agenda. Are there any corrections to the agenda? If not, then the agenda will stand as approved. The next order of business is public comments. Is there any public comment? If not, we will move on to the next order of business, which is guest speakers. Our guest speakers for today are Vice Chancellor Coronado and Chief Booker, who will be speaking on campus safety. Matthew, would you like to present these?
Yes, so it's a pleasure to introduce Chief Booker and Vice Chancellor Coronado to speak to us about campus safety, especially since this year it's a big priority to advance safety here on campus for not just students, but for all members of the UIC community. They're just here to present what UIC is doing in terms of campus safety. So yeah, thank you for
Thank you. Hopefully you can hear me. I'll just talk a little bit and Chief Booker is going to do a presentation. But first off, thank you, Matthew and Mohammed, for the invitation to present here today. Mohammed participates on a public safety board for the university, and I'm happy to hear that safety and security, particularly on campus, is an important issue that you want to discuss, that you want to enhance, and you want to improve on the university. Because we take this role and responsibility very seriously. You know, we work every year tirelessly to think about the safety of resources that we have on campus and how we can improve them. And Chief Booker and his police department is just a small part of that. You see common items around across the campus, like the StarTel poles that you can go and connect directly to the university. We have a couple thousand cameras across the university to help us prevent and deter crime on campus. We have our night ride shuttles, we have our bus transportation that we consider part of the safety enterprise in moving students and staff around the campus. You know, when you think about this university, we're about 50,000 strong. There's 30,000+ students. There's our 20,000+ staff, faculty and staff here that come here pretty much on a daily basis. And so the perception of safety on campus, we want our community to feel safe when they're coming here. And as you know, being in the middle of an urban environment, it's not easy to keep this place safe. So we rely a lot on the police department, but we really want to spread the message to all our students, particularly because the students are the ones that come and go. You're only here for 1, 2, 3, 4 years at a time, and it's always changing. That community is constantly changing. Our faculty and staff is a little more stagnant, but we're really trying to figure out how we can connect to students, how we can make students aware of the same resources that are available to them. And so we're really trying to understand, you know, through social media, through vignettes, through our Safe app, how we can drive adoption rate of our Safe app, which will be part of the presentation that Chief Booker talks a little bit about, and I'll share some of that with you. But please spread the word. We want, you know, not only this group, but the other student groups to be aware of safety and safety measures, and be proactive in planning safety, making safety planning part of every event. And we're committed to working with the groups, with the various student groups and organizations to help you in that regard. Either Chief Booker or transportation services or student affairs want to, you know, especially for an event on campus, we can help by understanding when it's going to start and where movement is going to be going. We can position security guards. We can position the law enforcement to increase the patrol. We could have night ride vehicles available, so that there is no wait, you know, but it takes communication and planning to help us work towards that end. So with that, I'll let Chief Booker talk a little bit about the police department in general. I'll pipe in occasionally, and then we'll open up and answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Let's try to make this work, Michelle, all right? She has my slides up here. So good afternoon, Kevin Book. I'm the Chief of Police here, UIC. Been here about 7.5 years now. I've been in law enforcement for almost 25 years now. Hopefully retire here in the next 10 or so. We're gonna go through these slides. It's gonna be kind of weird. I'm gonna have you walk through hyperlink that I put in there. So we go to the next slide. So USC PD is a full service police department. We're 24/7. A lot of times I get people asking questions, what time do you close? We don't close. We're here all the time. Okay, so whenever you need us, don't think that you're bothering us. That's our job. Call us because as the Vice Chancellor mentioned, we're in an urban environment. There's no gates, there's no walls around our environment. Our students go everywhere around the city. People come into our campus. Just know we're here for you. We're 24/7. Our officers are state police officers, so we can go anywhere in the state of Illinois and make an arrest. There's some universities you probably hear about, they have to stay on campus. That is not us. We can go anywhere in the state of Illinois and make an arrest if we need to. Go to Inglewood, we can go up north, Bridgeport, go wherever we need to go. So just know that we're here for you. Next slide. A lot of people ask, well, what's your patrol area? So we have our primary jurisdictions, then we have jurisdictions where we have the whole state of Illinois. Our primary jurisdictions, you look at the map, it's Adams to the north, Canal to the east, 18th Street to the south, and Western to the west. So if you kind of look at that as kind of that big block, that's kind of our primary jurisdiction where officers patrol, where they go be able to make arrests. We have properties in those areas. It's kind of where you'll see our police cars. There's a hyperlink on this at the bottom, right there. Perfect. Should come up. Maybe a different window. There we go. Okay. So what I wanted to do is wanted to take a second and kind of go through our website. So if you go back up to the top of that. So if you go over to crime data. So what happens is, you know, we have our jurisdiction where we patrol, but then there's times where things happen on campus. And a lot of times we get questions about, well, why wasn't this alert put out? This happened over here. Well, something happened on my street. It's off campus, but we should know about it. So if you go down to the clearing map, the very bottom, yeah, right there. So we have clearing maps. This is a federal unfunded mandate, the Gene Cleary Act, to where we're mandated federally to put out crime stats in the areas that are considered by clear geography. So if you look at this map here, this is our east campus. So if you look at the borders, it's kind of weird, but these are the borders, and anything that happens in those areas that's clearly reportable goes out on the alert. So you get those alerts. And just know, if we have, say we had a robbery that's on campus, if the person is still at large, meaning he's not apprehended, you will get an alert if it's our clearing area. However, if he's apprehended, you will not. So a lot of times information goes around saying this robbery happened. Well, why didn't we get an alert? Well, you might not get an alert because the person is apprehended. There's no longer a threat to the campus. So a lot of times people don't understand those different concepts. If you go down again, so this is the West Campus, and if you go down again, this is the law school. I wanted to highlight those three different areas under the clearing maps, just to make sure you understand what areas are reported when crimes happen in our area. Go back to the main web page. No, the main, yeah, the same. So it's going to be kind of weird, but we'll work through it. So if we go to the About tab, so we're going to go to each tab. What tends to happen is people ask different questions about the police department safety on campus. This is our website. There's a lot of information in there. So just about the About tab just talks about our mission values, talk about our command staff. If you go to the services talks about the USC app, which Vice Chancellor will talk about in a little bit. We have a bicycle registration. We have a safe exchange zone. So one of the things that happens is people buy stuff off of Facebook, and there's a whole lot of different sites where you buy different things and you meet up with the people. And I'm sure you've heard of different things where people meet up with someone and then they are robbed or sometimes worse, killed. We have a safe exchange zone. So if there's something you're buying online and you need to meet up with a person, hey, let's meet up at the police department and exchange these goods. Don't go out in the community and exchange these goods. So that's the information we want to get out there. And one of the things I want to say too is you all are the mouthpiece for the students. So the information I'm telling you, the expectation for you to pass that information along. Don't just keep it to yourself. Don't be hush about it. Pass it on to your students. The goal is to make sure everybody is safe. And again, we have tons of programs. So if you go to resources talks about just different things, evacuate, evade, engage. We have active shooter situation, anonymous tips. If you go over to crime data, the crime data talks about what we just talked about, the timely warning, sex offender registry. So if we had a student or a faculty, staff, or whoever that's a sex offender, they must register with the police department. So we know who they are and look at their activities and make sure they're in the proper places based on whatever the judge told them was proper for them being on campus. If we go over to community engagement, we just click on that. That'll tell you just the different things that we're involved in. The goal is to be able to partner. We intentionally make sure we're involved with all the different groups on campus. There's some groups that don't want to be involved with us, but we're going to be intentional about it. We're going to try to make our presence known, because what happens is right now, law enforcement is not looked at in a positive light. We have these ebb and flows. So, sometimes you have law enforcement that people trust, they're kind of top of the line, everything is good. And then as of right now, you have things that's happening where people just don't want to be involved with law enforcement. And we understand that, but our goal here in USC PD is to make sure we're intentional. So don't paint all law enforcement with one brush. We're here for you, we serve you, we're here because of you. So the ultimate goal is for us to communicate and figure out if we have differences or there's some things that we need to do better. You need to let us know, okay? We're not gonna shy away from that. As your leadership can tell you, if there's something that we need to do better, we will do it. We just need to hear from all of you. And so this page here, the community engagement, just kind of tells you, we're involved in a little bit of everything. If you back out of that, go to the last tab, and we'll go back to the PowerPoint. So the reform, we added this tab on here because we have internal affairs. So internal affairs are the ones that do all of our internal investigations and also take compliments for our department. Here in July, we are now accredited. It's a national accreditation. It's advanced law enforcement accreditation. It's less than 10% of all law enforcement agencies in the country has this distinction, and we have it. So that tells you right there where the institution of higher education, letters behind your name makes a difference. Certifications makes a difference with an institution of higher education. We are in the top 10% of all law enforcement agencies in the country as far as our policies, adhering to the best practices that's out there. So we take that pridefully, and we're always willing to adjust if something's needed, particularly for our communities. And then if you click on the department demographics, I always like to talk about this. Our demographics, I would hold it to any department on campus. I know we talk about diversity at UIC. Our department is very diverse as well, about 33, white, Black, Hispanic. We have a higher number nationally of female officers as well in our department. So again, this is all public information, so take some time, go through it. And I have my HR person always kind of constantly update it every couple of months or so. But I pride myself on making sure that our police department is very diverse, because a lot of times the issues come up is when people say, well, you don't have people on your department that look like me, understand where I've been. We have, I think it's 19 UIC graduates that work for the department. We have officers that are from towns that are very small and rural. We have officers that are from Inglewood, that's very, very urban. We have it across the board. We have people who didn't grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth. First year generation, I was the first year generation. I was the first one of my family, my whole family, extended family, graduated from college. I paid for my own college, worked 3 jobs, worked my way through school. So I know how hard it is. I know what the expectations are. And so when I was on campus, safety was an issue. And I got into law enforcement, not intentionally. I was going to law school, but I was getting tired of school at the time. So I decided to go to grad school instead, because it was 2 years instead of 4 years. And ended up falling into law enforcement and been in very since. So we go back to the presentation. So just a couple of things I'll highlight. Next slide. It's just a start, Judge. I know the Vice Chancellor had mentioned it. One of the things too, we want to always, we can't be everywhere at all times. So we have to use technology as our force multiplier. And as you see on the star tails, you'll see what we call the 4-headed monster. It's a camera that's over. So it's a camera looking in all the different directions. This is something that's on campus. If you have an emergency or something like that, you push the button, it goes directly to our 24/7 dispatch center. And officers are required to respond, even if they don't hear anything. So if something's going on, somebody's following you, whatever it may be, you can push that button, then go to the next star tail, push the button. The officers will come in from this way and come in from this way to kind of figure out what's going on. So this is here for your safety. They operate 24/7. They're tested every single morning to make sure there's no glitches in the system remotely. And we have over 1,000 of them on campus. The stand-up ones that's outside, and also in the bathroom, you'll see something, the little red boxes. Next slide. And then walking escorts. This is a service that's underutilized until something happens. We have something big happen on campus. A lot of people use this service. We have student patrol. Right now we have about 25. We're trying to get up to at least 45, 50. These are students that work for the PD. They're paid positions. You don't have to be in law and society. You don't have to be in criminal justice. You can be in any field. We have math, we have chemistry, we have biology. These are students that get paid. They go out, they're eyes and ears. They walk around campus. They do unlocks. They do walking escorts, and it's a paid position. So we're trying to get that out there. Hopefully student government can help us get that out there as well, so we get more students involved, because a lot of students say they do it to get back to their community. So they're out there, making sure that the other students are safe and they're getting paid while they're doing it. Plus, it looks good on your resume if you work in a paramilitary organization as like the police. So it helps you get ahead of somebody who's coming out with the same degree but nothing else on their resume. This will help you get the job. Just a quick little plug. Next slide.
Sure. Before I talk about the SAFE app, it's kind of timely that we're meeting and discussing today, because just Saturday, we released our annual security and fire safety report. So if you really want to dive in deep and understand the safety environment here at UIC, I would encourage you to look for that message from Saturday, click to the links. It's a very accessible document that you can easily navigate through on your mobile device, on your laptop or tablet, whatever the case may be. But it talks about, the crime on campus, reportable crimes on campus that have occurred over the last 3 years. And so you can see for yourself what information we're publicizing. It's mandatory by the Department of Energy. Your parents may have looked at those reports before you applied here, and compared it with other schools and universities as well. But let's talk about the Safe App. So I talked earlier about how we're a 50,000 person community, and we really want people to adopt and use the Safe App. So how many people in this room have the Safe App on their phone? Great to see. Okay, not everyone though. You know, I said 50,000. Actually, this is a pretty good break here because we have about 15,000 users. So we need the word to get out about what the value of this app. Hopefully some of you actually have perused it, thumbed through it, looked at the resources available. Anything you can imagine from a safety perspective is on here. You know, in addition to being able to get safe walking escorts, a virtual escort, get access to the bus routes and night ride. You can get, when it talks about support resources, plethora of student resources available, as well as employee resources. And you can also get the safety toolbox, which also gives you a bunch more additional resources and emergency response procedures. So you can be anywhere as long as you have a mobile device with the safety app on it. You can download it on your tablet. You can get it on your computer. You can have these resources, and you don't have to panic or think about what do you have to know and memorize. You can just look it up right here. So I really encourage you to look at it. The link is there for how you can download it. Android, Apple device, it works well on everything. Okay, thank you.
Right, and then this slide here just kind of gives you our emergency number, non-emergency number, and our PACE unit. So if you want to invite the PACE unit over, right now we're doing a fall campaign of active threat situations on how we respond and how you should respond in those different situations. They're more than willing to come to the student government to do it, or any of the other organizations that you're involved in. We can actually have them come out and do that as well. We can tailor it. It could be 30 minutes and then 15-minute Q&A. If it be something a little shorter, we may be able to tailor it. But the goal is to make sure that with that video. Has everybody seen the video? Active video.
Oh, yeah.
You did. Make sure it's 7 minutes.
It's a UIC.
sorry.
It's a UIC student production.
Yeah,
7 minutes long. It's
It's
really
students in
good.
it. Yeah, so it's something you're showing your meeting here. But it's something that we want to make sure that everybody get out there, so everybody sees the video, and then the training for the fall campaign is out there. So that's information to the patient. And the next slide is just both of our information. So if you need to contact us, we're available. I'm a 24/7 person. I'm always available. Just give me a call and we'll work it out. And we both are that way. It is, because I'll call him too, so.
So we're actually meeting with the graduate student government on Wednesday. You know, if there's opportunities to partner with other student organizations that have something like this, we're more than welcome to do this for our PACE unit to provide a presentation. We really want to get the word out to as many students and people as possible about the safety resources, about what we do, how we approach safety. And if you think about safety as a personal commitment, you know, so each individual needs to take responsibility for maintaining their safety, their friend's safety, their group safety. That's the kind of culture we want to drive at this university. And so the more people we can touch, and particularly get adoption of the Safe app, because we really think that's the best tool right now, looking for ideas as to what we can do to try to connect and better ways to connect with students. And with that, we'll open up if there's any questions, comments.
For questions, are there any questions?
I just have one. Would you say there's any areas on campus that are like less safe than others? Out of curiosity.
I would say no, and a lot of people ask that question, even about like going in the community and ask, well, should we go here or should we go there? We tell people to enjoy all Chicago. Every area, you have to be hyper vigilant. You got to make sure that you're paying attention to your surroundings. You got to take the earbuds out of your ear. You got to keep your head up when you're walking. Just got to pay attention to your surroundings. So I wouldn't say one area is safer than another area. We don't have, look, just thinking about the stats, we don't have like a certain area where there's like all the crime taking place. That doesn't happen. Crime is a crime of opportunity. They see somebody walking around with the earbuds in with their head down, not paying attention, you know, that's the ones that they're trying to prey on. When I used to give presentations, actually a long time ago, I always tell people, walk around like you got confidence. Don't walk around with your head down. Walk around like, hey, if you mess with me, you got to fight on your hands. Make sure that you exude that, hey, don't mess with me. So, and the thing is, I think moving to Chicago, I think a lot of people do that. When I was down in Terre Haute, Indiana, which is a smaller place, a smaller community, people just kind of did that. They didn't walk around like they were, had the attitude and don't mess with me. So here, I think it's a little bit more prevalent, but I would just say, don't walk around with your head down. Keep your earbuds out, be safe, walk in groups, just the basic stuff. And this transition is not just here on campus, but also anywhere you go in the country.
And I would add that Chief Booker and his team is very proactive, and they're looking at where crime is happening, and they're making constant adjustments to where they're patrolling, the frequency of visiting places, making adjustments with our security personnel, because we have security personnel on our parking structures and on campus, and security posts between 4 p.m. and 7 a.m. They're 24/7 in the parking structures. So he's moving those people around, and East Campus, West Campus, and then also the patrols on South Campus as well, to try to deter, what we call is deterring crime, making it hard here so that criminals will look elsewhere to make their crimes.
Chair recognizes Felix Salacino.
Hi, thank you for coming. Your presentation was very informative. Kind of regarding to the Star Tile units that we have around campus, I noticed that they were recently repainted from a brown to a navy. Kind of wanted to ask, when it comes to the color choice, why it isn't more of a vibrant color, like a bright yellow as it is around the medical district for the hospital area. So I kind of wanted to ask, like, what the thought process was on that.
Sure. So they used to be brown because they wanted to blend in. And when you think about the Star Tiles, what really stands out is the blue light on top of each one and the reflective lettering. And so we feel that is enough to get the notice. And then the color scheme is typical of each university. Typically, sometimes they are very bright. So I've been on numerous campuses. We're seeing white, yellow, blue, brown, So I think it's more of a choice. And the key point is you want them to be visible at all times of the day and night. So that's why we use our blue lights and our reflective lettering on each one of those.
Chair recognizes Felix Guerrero.
You guys briefly stated that you have state power. In regards to jurisdiction, do you hold jurisdiction over the county sheriff and Chicago Police Department, or is that only in declared matter?
Say that again.
You stated that you guys have state powers.
Yes.
Do you guys hold jurisdiction over the county sheriffs and the Chicago Police Department, or how does that work?
It's not over them. We have the jurisdiction to be able to go make an arrest in the state of Illinois, because the University of Illinois has property in those areas, so we have jurisdiction there. We're no way connected to the city, no way connected to the actual state police. We're no way connected to the county. They have their own separate jurisdiction, and they don't report to us. We don't report to them. So there's no reporting mechanism in there. It's just, when you look at primary jurisdiction, the primary jurisdiction was our area that we patrol. But when you look at the jurisdiction overall, if we need to go outside of that, we can. When we look at like some other campus law enforcement agencies, they have to kind of stay within their areas, and we don't stay within, Illinois.
Yeah, and I would add, when crime happens, sometimes there's multiple units responding. It might be our police responding in addition to Chicago police, which is often the case. And typically, one of them will take lead, but it depends on it. They want to comment.
Yeah, if the robbery take place off campus, we're the first ones there. The city's like, hey, that's yours, you got it. It's not that they know that we have,
So it's mostly like the first unit that responds.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Now, if there's something, if we had something like major that required like, a forensic expert or something, we don't have that level, so we may have to call out the FBI, we have to call out CPD, something like that. We need something very specialized, but just general crime and stuff. Yeah, we get there, it's like, what's yours?
And we do have great relationships with the FBI, which is just down the road on Roosevelt, with Chicago 12th District and 1st District, just where the West law on this campus.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Hagali.
Thank you for presentation. It's great. And my question is about the safety app. How far from school, the campuses that students can use that?
So basically, if you look at that patrol zone,
Yeah.
it's roughly comparable to that. We try to line up the patrol zone with the clearing zone, with our, UIC, the night ride patrol zones. So it's the same as that, so our walking zones, where we do walking escorts, night rides, and patrol is roughly all about the same.
It all used to be kind of different and people got confused. So we
Yeah.
said, okay, let's just keep it, what we do, walking escorts, what we did and do the night ride. That's what we're going to keep the kind of geo fence for the safe app as well.
Chair recognizes, Kimby Chodar.
How long would you say it like approximately takes the PD to respond to the safe tell alerts?
The star tails?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
depends. I can run a report to kind of look at the average time, but if you push it and there's an officer around the corner, maybe 20 seconds. But if officers called up across campus doing something else, it may take a couple minutes.
But a telecommunicator is talking back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for the officer to respond is different from when you push the button, you're gonna get a telecommunicator right there. And then don't forget the cameras are there. So they're seeing what's going on around that area and giving that information to the officer while they're responding.
Chair recognizes Representative John.
Hi, yeah, once again, thank you for your presentation. It was really informative. My question was also about the UIC Safe app. I know there's certain situations where students, may have a cell phone without any like signal or anything, or they might not have data. And I was wondering if the app works in those situations.
I believe I've been able to use my app everywhere I've been. I mean, obviously I can't, if I'm not in the zone, I can't ask for a walking escort or virtual escort, but I can come through all the resources with or without. It's kind of, I think it's in memory format.
Because I think it's a download. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
need, I'm not a tech person, but I think once you download it, load it on the phone, I think it's there. I don't think you need I don't think you need any.
You don't need a
data
signal
for it.
to pull the information.
Yeah.
It's downloaded onto your device.
Good question.
Chair recognizes Representative Guerrero.
Hello, thank you again. I feel like everyone has said it, but thank you again. It was really, really informative and I love learning more about this. My question was about the statistics you show about diversity. I noticed you have all races and then on gender, you only have female and male. I was wondering if there is a plan to maybe expand that to accommodate for multiple expressions of gender.
Yes, and that's and those are the things that I need because I want to know what people are looking for because if I'm not mistaken, I think we had black, white, Hispanic, and other. And I think we expanded to black, white, Hispanic, and I think it was Asian on there. And that was because somebody said something to me. Again, I don't profess to know everything, so if there's some categories that we need to break down a little bit more so our community can see, I'm willing to do that. So again, I'm not well versed in. I always ask questions because I have a lot of ignorance in it. Those are things that I'm willing to change and do that because I want to make sure that when people look at the demographics, they're seeing what they need to see. And I think all of it's important because we want to make sure we have an inclusive environment. So yes, that's something that you can educate me on. The group can educate me on if we need to add some of those different areas. Categories.
I appreciate so much that and that opening to learning. I think that's something that all of us should learn. We don't have to be the experts on everything. We just gotta ask the right questions sometimes. But yeah, definitely. I think we can follow up on that as well.
Okay.
So as you said, when students look at that, they see themselves represented as well.
Yes.
Any other questions? Chair recognizes Vice President Hernandez.
Yeah, so last year, like restaurants on campus had like reduced hours to 1, just like gyms. I was wondering if you guys had any stats about how it's affected like crime on campus.
Closing the South Campus restaurants at 1 p.m. instead of like
Right.
24/7 for gyms.
Are you talking the gyms?
Gyms at 7-Eleven.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
helped a lot. It's helped a lot. The activity in that area used to be, it was high. Now it's actually, I wouldn't say it's went away totally, because you still have some activity over there, but as far as them closing early, it actually helped a whole lot.
Any last questions or comments? Chair recognizes Felix Alcina.
Okay, so my question is kind of bouncing off that idea. So when it comes to 24-hour type services, I kind of want to ask, I know that a lot of institutions do have 24-hour student centers. When it comes to ours, it isn't that. Same thing with the library. Currently, it's not 24 hours anymore. Kind of want to ask if that's of a safety concern or if it's just more of a staffing issue.
I would say it's more, this more of a library and student affairs question. I suspect it's more staffing and usage or demand. The demand is there, and I think if students were to express the desire and demand, and I think it was try to accommodate. Yeah, because as you know, as a police department, we'll make adjustments. You know, I don't foresee it or see it at all as a safety issue, especially if you have student centers isolated. I think when we're talking about gyms, that's a whole different area. But the student center library, we would make adjustments. So I'm not against it. Yeah, we're not against it. We've had it in the past, and you know, we're 24/7. I have folks here all the time. Hospital never shuts down. Utility plants never shut down. There's always emergencies on campus that we can respond to. But our police department never shuts down. We'll accommodate. We need it.
Okay, thank you.
Chair recognizes President Alendris.
So yeah, just some closing remarks as we end the discussion here. To the representatives, be sure you just share this information out to people you know and clubs and classes you're a part of. And just as an additional plug-in, we are creating a student-led group called the USG Campus Safety Commission. I know Chief Booker, you're familiar with this group that's going to be implemented in the Public Safety Board. The idea of this is to ensure that UIC administration knows the student perspective and the feedback and the things we want in terms of campus safety. So I encourage everyone, once that group opens up, to join it. Encourage your friends to join it so that Vice Chancellor Coronado and Chief Booker can have that feedback to improve their services. But yeah, again, thank you so much, Vice Chancellor Coronado and Chief Booker, for coming to our meeting today. Their contact information is there if you guys would like to reach out to them. But yeah, thank you so much and have a great rest of your evening. And I think you are free to stay for the whole meeting, but no worries.
Thank you again, and with that, we'll move on to the next order of business. The next order of business is old business. The first resolution we have tonight is Resolution 2022 F4 5004, which we will vote on tonight. Matthew Alendris, would you please read this?
For sure. Yeah, so whereas the undergraduate student government is responsible for the maintenance and upkeep for its designated office in Student Center East, and whereas it is customary for the Treasury Committee to set aside funds in order to purchase office supplies for aforementioned maintenance and welcoming working environment for all members, then let it be resolved that the USG shall allocate $500 towards purchasing office supplies for the fall 2022 semester. Let it be further resolved that all unspent funds shall be returned to the budget for the end of the fall semester.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? If not, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2022 F4 5004, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then Resolution 2022 F4 5004 has passed. The next order of business is new business. First, we have Resolution 2022 F5 2000. Vice President Michael, would you present this? Oh, do you want to use that?
Yeah, so as some of you might know, for like the last 2 years, the USG administrations have worked towards the sort of reading day or review day before finals begins. Administration under Wasson and Kumar, they were advocating for it. And then last year, Archie Manuri and all the other e-board members were also advocating for this. So this year, we also are advocating for it. So this is just a resolution. So this year's USG body can reaffirm their support for the resolution. So with that, I'll just read it really quickly. Whereas during the last two undergraduate student government administrations, our student governments have advocated for one reading day and one review day before finals begins, so that students can properly succeed in their academics, as well as supporting their own mental health. And whereas students interviewed on this topic of reading and review days before final examinations have strongly agreed that this policy will advance student success and the promotion of mental health on campus. And whereas reading and review days has garnered the support of students and various USG members during the beginning of the 2022 academic school year. And whereas executive board members of USG in the Office of the Student Trustee have strategized and met with various USC faculty already. And let it be resolved, undergraduate student government calls for the reaffirmation to establish the inclusion of one review and one reading day during the last instructional period of each fall and spring semester before finals with no extension to the academic calendar. And then below that, I don't know, do you want to talk about it? Your letter.
I'll just briefly. I'm speaking on Hello, everyone. So basically, I'm not gonna read the letter about it very long, but as Michael Representative Fernandez mentioned, this is something that's been going on for 2 years. It's something that we've seen partners support across campus, even on the graduate end, and it's something that both the body and the faculty body have shown support for. So as the trustee, I am really glad. I'm very honored to be a part of this process, and I'm glad to show my support with it alongside the student. Let's go.
Yeah, and then for everyone that's new to student government, you can look at so you're not confused, there's other documents attached that are basically the resolutions from last year that advocated for reading and review days, along with the graduate student council letters of support. We're going to reach out to the graduate student council for updated letters of support for this academic year, as positions have changed, but we hope that they'll send another letter.
Thank you. I will now open the floor up for questions. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Chair, Vice President Almendras.
Yeah, just to again explain what this is. So this was introduced 2 years ago, worked on diligently last year. Now this year, I think we're finally ready to push it through the finish line. We're going to talk about this more in our reports, but we did meet with the chair of the UIC Senate of the Executive Committee, and we are very pleased to see that they finally support implementing this. And so this is a huge step towards giving more mental health support to students. So this is why it's important that we just reaffirm our support for this so that we can move forward with advocating for this change.
Yes, Emily?
How many days were you guys looking to add? Because the resolution from last year says 3 non-instructional days, but this one has only 2.
Yeah, that was from President Wasan Kumar. That was 3, and last year was 2, and this year it's 2. So 1 reading day and 1 review day each semester before finals begins.
Just to add on, this is what we're pushing for, but a lot of the logistics might change as we work through with the working group, which we'll talk about more later. So this is just what we're at. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Chair recognizes Saba Ali.
Is there a reason why it was 1 review day and 1 reading day?
It's so professors can have like class attendance still. So review day, you are required to come into class if your professor takes attendance, but you won't get any new material to be added to your final exam. And then a reading day is purely classes optional. So I guess it's sort of, I don't know if I can say strategic too. make professors who like round in 2 days of class if they have a Thursday and a Friday rather than.
There are also some accreditation issues that have to be taken into consideration. You have to have a certain number of class hours in order for to violate standards. They can't change the academic calendar at the, like, just in the middle of the year. So this could at least allow us to have seat time or class time without there being study or teaching.
Yes, thank you.
If I could just briefly add on to what you said. So, as Michelle alluded to earlier, this is still a negotiation between us, partnering with the student council, my office, with the USG Senate. So, as the faculty body, they obviously have to look at the curriculum, their own autonomy. At UIC, the system works so that we have time to conduct classes the way they see fit, in line with state requirements and also with their own research interests that are here. We are Hollywood University. So we'll go back and forth with them. But the really important part is they've shown support, and the chairman, Donald Wink, actually showed support for us and helped us create what we hope to be a successful negotiation period. So, yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, if there's not really any other questions or comments, I just would like to say, again, plugging in the Mental Health Coalition, join that because your mental health is important, of course, and this is the type of things that this coalition, which will be called commissioners, will be working on. So if you're interested in like being a part of this and making change that will feel while we're still here, then I encourage you to join that. You can reach out to Michelle, but yeah.
All right, if there are no more questions or comments, we will be voting on this next week. The next resolution we will be discussing is Resolution 2022 F5-4000. President Tom Andrus, would you like to present this?
So this is kind of a very long resolution. I'll just read over, but I'll give a brief summary of it. So whereas the undergrad student government has created an external group called the Mental Health Coalition to work specifically on mental health advocacy and promotion on campus, and whereas groups under this label are not properly defined, and whereas undergraduate student government seeks to expand the creation of these groups, then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government shall officially title these groups as USG commissions. Then let it be further resolved that the USG commissions shall be defined as organized groups formulated to address, advocate, and promote a campus issue. Then let it be further resolved the USG president shall hold the responsibility to create or approve the creation of USG commissions. Then let it be further resolved Article 16 USG commissions shall be added to the undergraduate student government bylaws. Then let it be further resolved Section 1 Foundation, along with the following clauses, shall be added under Article 16. Then let it be further resolved Section 2 Membership, along with the following clauses, shall be added under Article 16. Then let it be further resolved Section 3 Duties and responsibilities, along with the following clauses, shall be added under Article 16. Then let it be further resolved Section 4 Funding, along with the following clauses, shall be added under Article 16. Then let it be further resolved Section 5 Operations, along with the following clauses, shall be added under Article 16. Then let it be further resolved that Resolution 2022 S12-1002 Mission and Incorporation of the Mental Health Coalition shall be repealed. Then let it be further resolved that the USG Commission Act of 2022 will be effective immediately after passing, that any current group that falls within the definition shall take on the rules and regulations outlined in this act. Before I yield time for questions and discussion, Michelle, I shared a presentation with you. It's not really a presentation, but just a quick fact sheet. You can pull that up. So this is just a quick facts about what this is. So the act does not create anything new. Commissions are already a presidential creation for the Constitution, Article 4, Section 3, Clause 3, Subclause 4. You can read that specific clause right there. So this is already in place. So what this does is it just properly defines, simplifies how they're created. By properly defining commissions in the bylaws, USG commissions are now a proper extension to USG advocacy with a clear purpose and conduct for future members to follow. And it removes unnecessary subgroups within the past resolution 2022 S12-1002. This is the only resolution that we have to look back on and follow. And so the point of this is to expand again our USG advocacy, which is what this past resolution was trying to do. So with this resolution, USG can now properly create more groups. With that, I'll yield time for discussion.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Yes, Manasi?
So it says, the USG president shall hold responsibility to create and approve the creation of USG commissions. So does that mean that undergraduate student government will not be voting on the formation of the commission? And that like, if, let's say like a committee member or a chairperson like came up with the idea to create a commission and like had people for it, that you would be the only person to approve it?
Yeah, so if you look in the bylaws, committees do have, to some extent, to some limit, the ability to create subcommittees, task force under the committee. But then if this wants to be a bigger thing, it will have to go through the executive branch to become formalized, and this is what this is trying to do, just define that part because it wasn't really defined. It changes every year, but we want to keep things consistent so that conduct and operation remains consistent throughout the years.
Yes.
Sorry, just to clarify, so does that mean like if a chairperson wanted to form a commission with like outside UIC students, you would need to approve of it? Or would like, for example, me, would I need to pass a resolution to form the commission?
So as a committee, again, you can create task force. For instance, let's just say there's you want to create a task force under your committee that looks into diversity and inclusion. You can do that as a committee. That's more of an inter-committee thing. But then if you want this to be a bigger thing that involves, so a task force that you can create under your committee, that's only within the committee, only committee members can be part of that. But if you want this to be a bigger thing, which is, let's just say you want this to be a USG commission, then that's where it kind of has to like go through the president because you can see it's already been in the bylaws that the president has to create these task force and commissions. And we also have, if you look back in the archives, we have reports from all the way back to 1990 explaining what task forces are supposed to do. So we have that full explanation if need be. So to answer your question, it doesn't really have to necessarily pass the House.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Sam?
Why is there a 2-year sunset on commissions from the day of their creation?
Yeah, so again, because we want to set the timelines because to every beginning there's an end, right? Because I don't imagine, yes, I would hope at some point, we would need to consistently improve services. Let's just say we reach a point where everything is top notch. Maybe the committee will review and say, okay, maybe it's not necessary, maybe the committee or the commission is not fulfilling duties and it's not operating as intended to be, then it can be disbanded. That's why it goes through 2-year reviews.
Yes.
So with the 2-year sunset, with the rule that there has to be 8 meetings per semester, does that mean that like, I'm having trouble seeing with the 2-year sunset exactly from the date of creation, how like if a commission is created, say right now, and it would have to operate in like the first 6 weeks of the semester and then you do under review and like a new administration. So why is the cutoff like specifically 2 years from the date of its creation?
Yeah, that is a really great point you just made. I'll answer again the first part of the 2-year reviews just to make sure that just to keep constant, look at things, because if you look at, when it was, the mental health coalition was first made, it was intended to be a thing that goes on kind of forever and ever, and it kind of changed last year. But on the point of 8 meetings per semester, I realized that maybe that is a little bit hard to reach, especially if, for instance, USG Campus Safety Commission, if that was to be implemented right now, it's not gonna reach the 8 meetings. Maybe that's an amendment we can maybe look into. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Representative Glenn?
I have another question about funding. Who exactly in a commission has jurisdiction over how it dispenses its allocated funding?
Yeah, so I know this. Sorry. Yeah. So I know this was a kind of a big thing representatives want to look into in the past. You know, it's still following the same procedures as outlined last year. Again, you know, funding will be assessed by, you know, there's going to be usually members in there. It's going to be, again, it has to follow the same guidelines as any person would have to follow as Treasury Committee, the treasurer. And again, there's also an additional layer of kind of oversight, which is the commission will be under. So, yeah, the authorization for that, again, is really through the treasurer and the Treasury Committee. You obviously, you know, commission can't spend money without consulting the treasurer, because the treasurer and the committee will be sending, you know, the RFF to the students. So like they can't spend money underneath the table. Everything will be completely communicated and transparent through reports.
Any other questions, comments? If not, we will be voting on this resolution next week. With that, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is items for discussion. Are there any items for discussion?
Yeah, so it's come to my attention, there's a governor's debate this Thursday at 7 p.m. And I was thinking of maybe doing a watch party for this. It'd be interesting to just watch 2 candidates debate. But I just want to gauge our members here. Would people be interested in that? It'll kind of be like a hybrid thing. This Thursday at 7 p.m. So if we think we want to do this, I can just schedule a room very quickly, be somewhere here on campus, and we can just watch it together. Share and speak.
Will there be food?
Will there be I just found about this today. Obviously, funding guidelines, things have to be done 2 weeks in advance. So, I mean, maybe you'll bring food on my own. It'll be like something simple, like simple, like chips. Fruits.
You want to make the ones a year, guys.
I may only make my cheesecake. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested, then I'll get to organize that. We'll probably invite other organizations as well, so that we can. It'll be interesting to watch it. These 2 candidates are interested. Yeah. So raising hands, who would be just interested in coming to this?
Yes, Robbie?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking just like, you know, pre-law groups or local science groups. Oh, the governors. Sorry, can you repeat it?
So it's a debate between 2 governors, right, on Thursday?
Yeah, so Governor Pritzker and Darren Bill, those are the 2.
Any questions or comments?
Great. Yeah, then I'll send more details in the group.
Thank you. Are there any other items for discussion? With that, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is executive reports. May we please have the report of the advisor? All right, thank you so much. May we please have the report of the student trustee?
Good evening, everybody. So I realized so far I haven't been giving my quotes and I've been putting my officer report, so I'll start today. I've actually haven't said out loud. So my quote for this week is by Mark Twain that says, "The secret to gain ahead is getting started." So, thank you. So this past week, I conducted finalist interviews for the student trustee office. Members are decided and they'll be announced at 2 p.m. The positions this year were communications aide, research aide, student marketing manager, and a general office assistant. We also had a meeting with the USG Faculty Senate's Chairman Wing and clerk Elizabeth Dooley, but Vice President Michael Fernandez and everybody else listed below, they'll go into more details about it. We also had the opportunity to present the 2023-2024 budget proposal to the Student Fees Advisory Committee. This is a proposal that takes place every 4 years for where the student trustee office's resources should be, how much should be allocated and so forth for future folks who take after you. I also had a chance to meet virtually with the Student Bar Association's President Prolu as a check-in. I'm connecting with their logging. I'm also partnering with them to potentially host a town hall with the student trustees sometime this year. And I'm exploring options for a physical campus visit and opportunities to speak with students one-on-one. So as student trustee, I'm not a undergraduate student trustee, I'm a UIC student trustee. So I'm doing the best I can to network and branch out to all avenues of UIC, and hopefully I'll be connected with the other graduate schools as well. I am scheduled to meet interim provost Colley next Monday, hopefully to talk a little bit more about the board, her experience, and so forth. And then finally, I am linking with the board and the USC Chancellor's office to assist with the logistics of November Board of Trustees meeting. That will convene right here in Chicago, so I look forward to hosting them and my colleagues from Springfield and Urbana. I'm currently asking for any involvement that could potentially come to USC from all of you for this board meeting. Perhaps it may not take place in November, but perhaps January when the board comes back to Chicago, and I'll keep you guys updated for it. I would love to have USC involved with that board meeting in some capacity. And I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding Mohammed's report? Yes, Melanie?
How exactly do you feel that USG representatives could be utilized in sitting in on the board meeting?
So yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to clarify that. It may not look like you guys sitting to the meeting, but more or less presenting to the board of the mission of the student government, what you guys have involved, what your goals are, and so forth. What I've noticed in these previous board meetings, we've got two so far now. We always bring some group on board, whether it's an acapella group or performance, to basically showcase what the university is all about and the potential. Now, we're not an acapella group, I'll be honest, we're not, but we can be, yes, we can be dependent. But I would love to showcase USG and the incredible diversity we have here, because that's what our university is known for, along with our research opportunities and our social justice programs, obviously. So again, that's TBD. I'm trying to figure out what kind of involvement makes sense, and then I'll keep you guys updated on that. So thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yes, go ahead.
I hope I'm saying this the right way, because I feel like your intentions are really, really good, but given the context that you just provided about UIS and UIUC, do you not feel that kind of bringing other groups in almost presents itself as a song and dance for the Board of Trustees without necessarily providing a certain deliverable or actionable item?
Sure. So that's an interesting point to bring up, and I will be considering that. I will only invite USG to be involved if I am convinced that the board will actually take what you guys do seriously, and there is something substantial for you guys to do. So that's how we avoid the song and dance as you were mentioning, and that's why I'm not promising anything right now. I'm looking for the potential. If they offer something substantial, if I feel like there's an opportunity for all of you to showcase and do something informative with it and have some sort of impact, only then will I move forward with it. So I will keep you updated on it. Thank you, though.
Are there any other questions? If not, then the report of the student trustee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the president.
Great, thank you. So yeah, just to start off my report, I just wanted to again mention that my office hours are every Tuesday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. It's in the USG offices. If you don't know where that is, I think we'll release information on where it is. You can go up there and utilize the space. It's either through a walk-in or you can email me for a Zoom link. My email is there on my report. But yeah, in terms of campus safety, we just heard from Chief Booker and Vice Chancellor Coronado. So now I'll be, doing follow-up meetings with relevant stakeholders such as members in RHA, CSI, SL, and other campus demographics, just to rally support for this future commission that they've had for so long. I think the past Monday, I did the DOS tour, met the staff and administrators at the DOS, and learned a lot about their services and got a lot of support for USG's initiatives. So there's a lot to look forward for that, especially in terms of the dining halls flight donation program. There's a lot of opportunity to get that through and alleviate some of the student hunger here on campus. In terms of the UIC library meeting I had last Tuesday, it's very exciting. I negotiated a deal with Dean Ballard Thrower to reopen the study rooms for finals. I realized not a lot of students know about the study rooms. This is because it wasn't open for students since the pandemic has occurred. So now that will be reopened for finals and potentially be open permanently throughout the next semester. So that's something to look forward to, and we will promote that to students in the future. And we're also continuing development of the Faculty Leadership Award in terms of open education. And this is something really cool. So I'm not sure if anyone noticed, but there's like a dog at the library. His name is the basset dog, Bob. So yeah, I think he's a pug, and I wanted to walk him around campus. Yeah, I wish I had a picture ready for you guys to take a look, but basically I talked to Dean about it, since we're thinking of doing something really cool where I walk Bob around campus. And so that students can like come up and like say like, oh, that's dog, and I'm like, yeah. But one thing, this dog is really old, so actually I won't be walking. I'll be carrying it on a wagon. So hopefully I'll get his attention, and then I'll like kind of bait like student government and all that. So but yeah, then I was also invited to be a part of this OER coalition and be a panelist for an OER conference, which is pretty interesting. In terms of mental health, Vice President Fernandez and I are getting good traction in our campus care initiative. During our counseling center meeting, we introduced the mental health coalition agenda, learn more a lot about his agenda and mission for mental health at UIC, and he'll be a guest speaker next week to talk about counseling center, again, the mission. In terms of finances, I attended the Student Fee Advisory Council meeting to present a budget proposal for USG for the 2023-24 academic year. But I also learned that Student Legal Services, when they present their budget, is also looking to kind of improve their services. So I'm not sure if anyone has ever utilized Student Legal Services, but this is going to be improved, hopefully, with more hiring and such. And they're calling on the governing bodies such as student government to help promote the services to students because they can provide very valuable legal advice in terms of, but for instance, the most popular one is housing assistance. So yeah, that's all with my report. I yield my time for questions.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments regarding his report? If not, then the report of the president will be filed. Next, we have the report of the vice president.
Yeah, so as Matt sort of mentioned, we've met with Donald White, who's the chair of the executive committee, and Elizabeth Dooley, who's the Senate clerk, to talk about reading review days. So we seem to have established a clear path on how we'll take the next steps for these resolutions, which seems like a referral to the two Senate committees on student faculty affairs, and then, as Michelle was talking about earlier, the establishment of a working group to get the feedback and get down to the the smaller details of how this would actually be implemented on campus, and then hopefully from there, they can garner our support in the whole UIC Senate to pass and then be implemented, hopefully by next year. Anyways, more to come on that. I've also met with Joy Vergara from CSI to discuss homecoming week and how USG could participate in it. If you have any ideas, reach out to me. I think it'd be good if USG has a presence there, maybe in the homecoming game. That should be fun. We're playing the fall. So I think a lot of people will show up at home. So let me know. I met with Matthew to discuss our initiative on campus care. We're finding some good differences between our peer institutions and ourselves. Talked a little bit about implementation of the journal use board with LACJR, so I'll talk more about that this week. I met with Raphael along with other USG board members, talked about mental health on campus, how USG can advocate for needs this year. And Matthew, Michelle, and I talked about the commission and resolution. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding this report? If not, the report of the Vice President will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Treasurer. I believe Mohammed, you're reading this?
Yeah. So, I'm fairly connected. So I'm kidding. So Gwen attended the resource guide meeting with the Dean of Students Office. Says it was a great insight into spending policy. They did meeting with Advisor Keith and Director Jaber regarding funding for future USG initiative. He met with Director Mahano to discuss funding guidelines for future USG event. He welcomed his new representatives to his friendship committee, and he is setting up a time for them to meet weekly. And then if you have any questions about the budget or anything that he's doing or not doing, please feel free to email me.
Yes, as you mentioned, please email Quinn with any questions or comments. With that, the report of the Treasurer will be filed. Next, we have the report this week. So if you haven't seen already, USG committees have been decided. Yay. Email from earlier this week. If you don't know which committee you're in, directors should be reaching out soon with more info if they haven't already. And I'm really excited for you guys to get your committee meetings. USG orientation, all members, new and old, must attend. I think there was some confusion surrounding that. This event is mandatory for all members. The date is actually not October 13th anymore because we are working on getting a room. But I will communicate via email with you all once we have that settled. Please make sure to set a time, set aside the times that are on, or be prepared to set aside the times that are on the orientation availability form. I'm sorry for this annoying roadblock, but we will be working through it. We also had a mental health commission meeting, in which we discussed possible future collaborations on events with the Wellness Center. These will be more social and formal in nature. So we're looking forward to that. Additionally, we are working on the mental health commission kickoff, in which we'll listen to Director Carol Peterson and Raphael, who we met with before, will be attending as attendees and speakers. We also discussed the mental health survey and the objectives of the survey, which we will be hopefully rolling out soon and having certain key stakeholders to look at. So if you're interested in MHC, if you haven't already, please just talk to me. As everyone mentioned, we met with Donald Wing and Raphael Cavalier. I won't go more into detail. If you have any questions, just let me know. Last but not least, I met with Yasmin today to go over the USG social. She will be taking the lead on that. So please look forward to communication from her. I'll be dedicating a section of our report starting next week for more news on the social. And we're also looking into hosting a Halloween event. We have a meeting on Monday of Halloween, which is kind of a bummer. So if we can't dress up that meeting, we will be having an external event where people can socialize and have fun. All right, that my report is finished. Are there any questions or comments? All right, if not, the report of the speaker will be filed. Next, we have the report of the chief of staff.
Hello, friends. This was already mentioned, so I won't mention it again. I met with Vice President for a check-in meeting. I also had my chief of staff meetings with all the directors, which they will be updating about in their reports. So you'll be clear about that. Also, you guys met Chief Booker today, and him and I are coordinating the UIC Police Town Hall. It will be, mark on your calendars, October 27th, 2 to 3 p.m. There's gonna be lunch served too, so get excited. I think it's gonna be pizza. The police are in charge of that, so. And Ruth George's mother will be guest speaking, so it will be a really amazing event. I hope you guys can come. It'll be in the Illinois room, probably, October 27th, 2 to 3, just so you all know, and we'll have some good food. That's not my report.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding this report? If not, then the report of the chief of staff will be filed. And next, we have the report of the diversity and inclusion chair.
Hello, everybody. So I'm continuing to coordinate with the report about the cultural fair, kind of just thinking about what the stalls are like gonna look like with the organization, with the student organizations, as well as like stage and what the rooms are gonna be looking like, and also what time. I also emailed my committee members to decide the first meeting date. I think there's one person that hasn't gotten back to me, so please get back to me and make sure to fill out the link to meet so we can figure out when to meet. And then I'll be sending out, after we meet, I'll be sending out the deputy chairperson application. And then I met with Pocket Art, kind of discussed the cultural and like detailed more so how the cultural centers will be participating and funding in the cultural fair, kind of specifying their participation a little bit more. The meeting with the WLRC was postponed to this week because unfortunately their director fell sick. And I met with Abby for our weekly chief of staff and
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding this report? If not, then the report of the diversity and inclusion chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the legislative affairs chair.
Well, hello, welcome to my new committee members. Great seeing you, great seeing all those for you who attend our lunch meeting, gone to the food. For those who couldn't participate, no worries, I'll catch you off speed. Last week I had the opportunity to meet with Keith and Quinn, so thank you for that opening discussion. I thought it was great. And this week I will be working with Joe Vergara and Lily LaChapelle this week to complete the competitions layout and design. That'll be up and ready soon enough. But as always, if anyone has any questions or concerns, my email is right here, so feel free to let me know.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding Jaire's report? If not, then the report of the legislative affairs chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the public affairs chair. Is someone here to read this report?
I can read it. Hello, everyone. This week, Kenvi met with Chief of Staff Abby on Thursday to discuss updates on USG calendar, socials, and newsletter. She discussed with Speaker of the House, Michelle, regarding the buddy system and decided not to go through with it due to some logistical issues. And she's planning out more ways to ensure a good relationship with e-board and reps. She also received committee assignments, so excited to work with my committee members and plan our first meeting sometime this week. That being said, committee members, please fill out the when to meet if you haven't already done so and join the group me. That's the end of the report.
All right, if there are any questions regarding Kenvi's report, please email her and the report of public affairs chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the student success chair.
All right, hi everyone. So I sent out an introduction email to my committee members and I'm super excited to work with them. So just a reminder, please join the group me if you haven't already done so and fill out the doodle poll so we can schedule our first meeting. President Matthew and I had a meeting with the Dean of Libraries in regards to OER and other initiatives for the year on Tuesday, so it was pretty successful. Had a meeting with Lauren Gallagher, and we planned out the logistics for the coffee, cocoa, cookies, and career event. And based off that, I also had a meeting with Treasurer Quinn just to go over the budget and the food for the event. Also had a meeting with Emily Ann Walrath and discussed like how the Office of Advancement is divided into 2 groups, and she'll be directing me to someone who can help further our discussion on donors for scholarships. And that's the end of my report.
Are there any questions regarding Mahamir's report? If not, then the report of the student success review. Last but not least, we have the report of the campus site chair. Is anyone reading Felix's report? Okay. I will read it. So Felix met with Chief of Staff Abigail Coutinho, for the bi-weekly meetings in which they discuss ways to improve student workers' rights. He also started to make good progress on his student workers' rights proposal. He's trying to find a good contact for student human resources. So if anyone knows of a person that they can contact, please let Felix know. He's looking into the student employment page on UIC, but it's apparently very difficult to navigate. That's something to work on. He sent an email out to all campus life committee members, so please check your emails and be aware of communication. He created a form for the deputy chair position, which is due October 12th. And he created a group meet for CLC. So please get on joining those. He also created a form to figure out when the best time to meet will be for when the best time to meet will be for campus life committee. So please fill out all those forms. He planned a meeting with a student, Soha Khatib, to discuss an event being put together by the Campus Advocacy Network, the Women's Resource Center, and the African American Cultural Center. Last but not least, good luck to everyone during midterm season. Okay, if there are any questions regarding Felix's report, please email him, and with that, the report of the campus life chair we follow. We will now be moving on to the next order of business, which is announcements. Are there any announcements? Yes, Daniela.
Okay, mine is that, as you probably know, we have Spark, which is an annual music festival slash concert that is free for all UIC students. It's hosted by the Center for Student Involvement. So try to go if you can. It's a free concert, so why wouldn't you go? You know, your tuition is paying for it too. The headliner is Party Next Door, who's a rapper. The doors open at 5 and close at 7:30, and it's on Saturday on Harrison Field, which is the little like green space that you have to walk to get to the blue line. But that's it. You can RSVP if you Google UIC Spark, but you also don't have to RSVP. Just make sure that you follow. No, actually RSVP. That's all. Thank you.
All right, any other announcements? Yes, Muhammad?
Yeah, I have a really quick one. I keep forgetting to mention every time I open this report. So I do also link my social media, so please follow and like everything we're doing. It also doubles as USG. For all the new reps, please follow USG social media too. Because I mean, you guys are representatives, so you should get results keep up. So yeah, just a small little plug for you.
Thank you. One announcement for me, if you haven't joined the USG group meet, please join. We do use it as a form of communication. So if you're not joining, then you're going to be missing out on important topics. So please join. It's in an email I sent out a couple weeks back. Please join. And last but not least, we do have catering for today's meeting. As you can see, it's set up on the table back there. So you can go pick up some food before you leave this meeting. There should be different dietary options for those with constraints. Yeah, and that should be great. Any other announcements? Yes, Matthew?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram.
Like, comment.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. No, in all seriousness, yeah, committees are being formed. Yeah, I always say this, committees are the backbone of our operations, what we do. So be excited, look forward to that. I'm very excited for you guys to see what you guys plan to do. Oh, and yeah, we also have new web administrator, Marisa. Realized we didn't get to vote him in, so we'll do that next meeting. Or-
So I think this is all.
So yeah, so yeah, yeah, welcome Marisa. We look forward to have you on the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one last thing, yeah, just to follow up with Representative Guerrero, keep on the lookout for events. We're gonna actually start posting events on the official calendar, which will be shared to everyone, so everyone. With that, we'll keep you guys from getting the very delicious food over there.
Yes, go ahead.
You reminded me of other events, sorry. So on Wednesday, we also have Flames Fest, which we're gonna have a zip line, like the one that you like, you know? And bungee jumping, which I don't know how tall is it gonna be, but it's gonna be there, as well as music by UAC Radio. That's our radio equal right there. Okay, so that is Wednesday. I forgot the time, so check UICSAB for that. And then on Friday, we have Sparky's Drag Race. So we bring drag queens to campus, as well as we are gonna have student performers who are gonna be performing as like different forms of art of drag. So also check that out. And all of these are free, and you should go. And we're gonna be giving VIP tickets for Spark on those, supposedly, so, yeah.
Thank you. Any last announcements? If not, oh, yes. go
Not
ahead.
an announcement, just a question. When is the drag race on Friday?
Oh, it's, oh my God, I just
It's
posted.
6:30 to 8:30, right?
Oh.
I
I just posted. Okay, let's just talk for 1 minute and I'll let you know. It's 7 to 9 p.m. It's the drag show. And we're gonna have student performers as well as local drag queens, as well as there is like a famous drag queen that is called Sigourney, I don't know. But you'll know soon if you follow UICSAB. It's Sigourney Beaver, who participated in season 4 of AMC's something. I don't know. But yeah, it's nice.
All right, with that, we move on. Hello.
You do?
Hello. With that, we move on to the next order of business, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Is anyone abstaining? If not, then the meeting is adjourned at 7:33 p.m.